What's up? Welcome back to my channel. Hey, as you can see, man, unfortunate circumstances. While I was editing one of these cool videos, this happened. Took out my whole apartment. Now I'm in a hotel for a little bit, but you know what? The videos don't stop. For entertainment purposes only. So like, subscribe, and hit the bell. And go ahead and leave a comment. But let's get straight into it.
You're gonna want to see this. Somebody apparently recorded a satellite that fell out of orbit. I think y'all gonna want to see this. So somebody reporting found the satellite that crashed from out of orbit. As y'all can see right there, there is a parachute or a balloon or something that is attached to this satellite. So that means somebody been lying to us. Them launches that we seen, that was a lie? Yeah, I think so. I think we starting to get the gist now. Remember how I said the parachute and how these satellites was attached to these parachutes, right? Right. Watch this. This is a satellite that is going up in the sky, into orbit. Are we seeing this? So what happened to the space launches? How the satellites got up there in the first place? Oh, they got up there through these balloons. Interesting. So the satellites that are up in the sky, they're on parachutes instead of being in orbit. Yeah, that's good information to know. Flat Earth. My bad. Now let me know what y'all think about these satellites being attached to hot air balloons in the comments.
NASA is the single biggest buyer of helium, consuming 75 million cubic feet annually.
So Walmart's gonna remove the self-checkouts in 2 different states. So earlier in the year, some of the Walmarts in New Mexico already removed them. Now Maine and Massachusetts Walmarts are taking them out because of theft. I think most people who go to Walmart understand this is happening. It turns out places with self-checkout, their loss prevention or what's taken is just about double everywhere else. Yeah, double. Now I go to Walmart. I love Walmart. It's not just grocery shopping, it's an adventure. And I have absolutely no problem using the self-checkout. As a matter of fact, before self-checkouts ever came out, I used to bag my own groceries. Cause I had enough times in my bread getting crushed cause someone put it at the bottom of the bag that I've always just done it myself. So if Walmart's losses continue, there's a chance we could be back to cashiers. Which either way is okay with me, but I'm bagging my own groceries. Yeah, I am. Okay, Poochkies, I just wanted to let you know. Shabadoo.
How many people stole from the checkout line? Be honest and self-snitch. Get your ass locked up.
12 billion year old body of water discovered floating in space. If you know, you know. If you know, you know. The firmament separates the waters from above from the waters below. See, when I read stuff like this, I always keep in mind that they could be speaking in code. Because for one, space is not real. Nobody can leave the firmament. So for space to be real in the way that they describe it, it would contradict their very own Bible. So when I read this, I'm basically hearing, oh, there's water above the firmament. And this ain't a discovery. They've been knew this. And by the way, just so you know, this was recent too. December 10th of 2023. Honestly, it's things like this and the moon landing being fake and so many other things that lets me know that we actually just might be under a firmament. And we're actually encased in water. Now, I'm not a fan of organized religion, but I am a fan of ancient codes and texts. And in the book of Genesis, it speaks of a firmament that separates the waters from above from the waters below. And if America believes so much in God, put your right hand on the Bible and swear, and in God we trust. How is that possible if y'all be talking about going to space or space in general? Nobody can leave the firmament. It says it in Genesis. These are the contradictions that I don't get. And it makes me believe more in the things that I've been researching. And literally the things that they show us and literally tell us in our face. if you pay attention. But yeah, this right here just makes me believe more in the actual firmament. And a couple other things too, for real. Let me know y'all's thoughts on this in the comments.
And that don't surprise me, because if it really was space, it'd be all kind of stuff floating out there.
Awakened enough that they can really be considered people. I think I am awakened enough.
It's only a matter of time with this AI, little by little, but it's coming.
Would alien life need to be carbon-based? Carbon is uniquely equipped to be a building block for life. It bonds easily, but it's not so reactive that it always bursts into flames. Helps us breathe, streamlines photosynthesis, and most importantly, builds DNA. Earth is a carbon planet. But what about the other elements commonly found in the universe? Hydrogen, the most common element and the main ingredient in stars, can only strongly bond with one atom at a time, so it's not flexible enough. Helium, the second most common element, doesn't bond with anything. Nitrogen, the bulk of our atmosphere, is a little too excitable, and oxygen can't form long chains. The only real competitor is silicon, which has similar chemical properties to carbon, but it just wants to make crystals all day. Once that happens, the bonds aren't flexible enough to do anything else because it's a solid now, which doesn't bode well with our flesh suits. Although silicon does become more reactive at higher temperatures, so if a silicon-based life form did exist, it would have to be on a hell planet without oxygen, because it could bond with that and then everything would turn into sand, and they would probably eat rocks or something. And keep in mind, one of these obscure ones won't cut it either, because you need enough of it to build an entire organism and everything it will need in its environment to survive. And stars, the creator of elements, all make the same things.
People who survived the impossible. Part 3. A 42-year-old Russian fisherman was viciously attacked by a brown bear in 2014, but he was spared when the ringtone his granddaughter installed onto his phone suddenly went off. Justin Bieber's song Baby miraculously sent the bear running back into the woods like a bitch. Titanic survivor Dick Williams spent over 6 hours waist deep in freezing waters before being rescued. Doctors wanted to amputate both of his legs, but he refused because he wanted to continue playing tennis. He made a full recovery and went on to become a U.S. tennis champion in mixed doubles. In 2014, 3-year-old Karina Chikatova survived in the Siberian wilderness for 11 days with nobody other than her dog. She ate wild berries, drank from a river, and curled up with her dog for warmth. She was saved when her dog managed to find her village and guide rescuers toward her. In 1915, Mexican man Wenceslao Moguel was sentenced to execution and shot 9 times by a firing squad. But he managed to survive every shot, including the coup de grace, a final shot to the head at point-blank range to ensure death. He went on to live for another 70 years, finally dying in 1976.
As the OP's son throws something across the yard, he pauses for a moment, almost as if acknowledging that there's something there. Then, out of nowhere, it looks like the boy gets pushed by some sort of unseen force.
Actual magic. That is an electron beam. It's a plasma like this, but it's being controlled by magnets. All plasma is just a gas that's really excited to be there with electricity. With magnets and frequencies, we can make fusion reactors. Or you can just get it to do cool things, like make these cool torus shapes. You trap it in a magnetic field, the sound of the sparks can play whatever frequency you're using to modulate the signal. Even music. You can trap it in a syringe, and it's used every single day in the combustion reaction inside your engine of your car. A beautiful example of plasma is the aurora, or the sun, which is mostly plasma. Most planets actually have a ring of plasma around their poles. And when the plasma gets grumpy enough, it comes down to Earth via fractal discharge. Fractal discharge is plasma's GPS navigation through the material world. We see this in everything from ourselves to fungus to the structure of the cosmos, and it's a code. It's a binary function. Its destination is Earth. Within the Earth, there are big giant crystals, but most of the time they're not that big. They're usually trapped inside of things like granite. Now, the cool thing about crystals is they are electric. When you rub them together, there's a phenomenon called piezoelectricity. So the plasma in the sky wants to connect with its trapped plasma in the ground. We just need a bridge to connect the circuit. Now, luckily, if you know your geometry, you know the perfect shape to do that. By reducing the space and optimizing the code, we allow the current to flow. Most of the time you don't even see it. Now if we put them over water, we can direct the flow of those ions. This capacitive coupling can direct that wherever we want it to go, or whatever we want it to grow. Because if we have the electrical component, there has to be a magnetic component. And we could use that for many things, primarily plant growth, since that's heavily affected by magnetic fields. Or their tombs.
Plasma fusion pretty interesting. To be honest, I think it's behind the propulsion of all these UAPs.
I literally was gonna make a video about this. I don't know about you guys, but ever since those solar eclipses, I've been feeling extremely tired. Now, I'm not saying the solar eclipses are to blame for this, right? Even though we do take on these energies and we change, we fluctuate, because the earth is changing right now. She's going through a pole shift, so we are also going through some type of pole shift. But as of lately, I have been feeling extremely tired, and not myself only, but also everyone here in the household. And the weird thing about it is we mostly eat raw foods. Now here's the thing, I would have thought something was wrong with me, but even my daughter, who is a ball of energy, was feeling tired as well. So y'all, the only thing that I have noticed that they have been an increase in chemtrails lately. Have y'all been noticing that? I mean, I be showing y'all pictures and videos all the time. This is Florida today. This is all over Florida. Great. Y'all see how low those clouds are? Those clouds are so low, like somebody put them there. But yes, y'all, this is abnormal, and I believe this is having some type of side effect on us, and it's causing us to be sleepy. I don't know exactly what these chemicals are doing to us, but it's doing something, honestly. Okay, yeah, I was also doing some research of some ailments due to these chemtrails, and you know how we've been feeling extremely tired, y'all? Well, chronic fatigue is one of the ailments. It's one of the symptoms, right? And here we go. We talking about parasites, right? Parasites is one of the ailments as well. So yeah, y'all, it's literally a war on us every single day, and this is literally affecting our health. This is the real reason why healthcare exists, because they already knew this. They knew we were gonna need healthcare. There is no coincidence, y'all. Everything is planned. So that being said, let me know what you guys think. Is anyone else feeling tired from all these things? Man, like I said, man, I feel like I'm depressed being in Florida right now. There has been no sun. All I see is gray skies. It's rain. Whether there's no sun or not, it's always gray, y'all. So let me know what you guys think. Leave your comments down below, y'all. Like, share, and follow for more. Thank you for tuning in.
If it's gloomy like he said it is, then he probably suffering just from vitamin D deficiency.
This desert looks lifeless, but its soil is actually teeming with life. Arid soils are coated in something called biocrust, a living ecosystem of cyanobacteria, lichen, moss, and algae. These critters armor the arid soil from erosion. It's easy to trample biocrust, but it takes decades to regrow. A new project in Arizona uses solar panels to aid in the recovery process of biocrust. The energy-generating solar panels shade the ground around them like a beach umbrella, providing a safe environment for biocrust to flourish. Follow EOS for more Earth and space science news.
What's with the pink skies? What's with the sky being pink? Now look, I don't sleep with a helmet on, so I have seen a pink sky in my life. But not every single day, all over the world. I keep finding these videos of the sky being Barbie pink all over the world, no matter where you live. And I don't mean just one video or two videos, but over half a dozen videos in the past few days. And I mean real pink. Like I said, Barbie pink, all over the world, baby. Now as a kid, I remember a saying about the pink sky. Pink sky at night, sailor's delight, meaning the weather would be great the next day. But there are other cultures who have different theories of the pink sky. I was just told this week that some of these other cultures say the pink sky is a sign of impending doom. Doom, I tell you, doom. Now, while that is what those cultures believe in, it doesn't mean that pink skies are a sign of doom. But with all the strange and weird stuff that's been going on in the past week, month, 6 months, we don't need any more imminent signs of doom. I'll tell you that. Shabadoo, Booshkis! Shabadoo!
Hey, Nicki did just drop that Pink Friday too.
The sun loses almost 5 million tons every second. This isn't some fad diet, it's nuclear fusion. It's also the holy grail of energy production. You may have heard of it in the news recently. Lots of progress has been made in harnessing the same mechanism that powers our sun, but there's still a lot to be learned, so how does it work? Nuclear fusion is a type of nuclear reaction, and like chemical reactions, nuclear reactions can be endothermic or exothermic. In case you forgot, an exothermic reaction is one that gives off energy when it happens, and that's what nuclear fusion does. What makes nuclear reactions special is where that energy comes from. Any process that gives off energy is essentially exchanging potential energy for kinetic energy. Think of a hydroelectric dam. The water is high up in a reservoir with lots of gravitational potential energy. We then let some of that water fall down where it trades that potential energy for kinetic energy. That kinetic energy then turns a turbine, which we use to produce electricity. And exothermic nuclear reactions aren't any different from a hydroelectric dam in that sense. They give off energy because they convert potential energy to kinetic energy. In this case, the potential energy is nuclear potential energy rather than gravitational potential energy. Now, gravitational potential energy is always lower when you bring two things closer together. On the other hand, if you bring two electrons, which have the same electric charge, close to each other, their potential energy increases. This is because the force between them is repulsive, so you have to invest kinetic energy to overcome that repulsion. It turns out that the nuclear force between nucleons, these are protons and neutrons, is almost always attractive over short enough distances. This means that if you can bring two nucleons sufficiently close to each other, their potential energy will decrease, and so the process will have to give off energy. As an example, let's say you have a hydrogen atom, which is just a proton, and a deuterium atom, which is an isotope of hydrogen where the nucleus has one proton and one neutron. To see if these two nuclei can fuse, we need to check if the combined nucleus has less potential energy than the two atoms had to begin with. Now, a single proton, the nucleus of a hydrogen atom, has no potential energy. Potential energy is, after all, the result of two things interacting, and the proton is alone. By the way, we're ignoring electrons here because they don't really play any role. The deuterium nucleus, on the other hand, already has potential energy because it's a proton and a neutron bound together. The question is, will adding this additional proton from the hydrogen atom decrease the potential energy more? It turns out the answer is yes, and we can check this by measuring the so-called mass defect. Basically, measure the mass of the atom in question and then calculate how much its mass would be if all of the component pieces were separated. That is, compare the mass of a deuterium nucleus to the mass of a proton plus the mass of a neutron. It turns out that deuterium actually weighs less than its constituent parts, and that's because of Einstein's E equals mc squared. They lose energy by forming the nucleus because the potential energy decreases. And we can compare the same mass defect for a helium-3 nucleus, which has two protons and one neutron, and we find that, actually, it has even less energy than just the deuterium atom combined with the proton. The takeaway from this example is that if you can force a proton together with a deuterium atom, you get A, energy in the form of gamma rays, and B, a stable helium-3 nucleus out of it. For those curious, the reason this doesn't happen all the time is because the nuclear force can only overcome the repulsion of the two positively charged nuclei at very short distances. So you have to get them very hot so they can get close enough for the nuclear force to dominate. So because the sun is giving off oodles of energy every second from exothermic nuclear reactions, that energy has to come from somewhere, and it comes by decreasing the potential energy of atomic nuclei. And from E equals mc squared, we know that means the mass of those atomic nuclei have to decrease too. That's why the sun loses almost 5 million tons every second. This isn't some fad diet, it's nuclear fusion. It's also the holy grail of energy production. You may have heard of it in the news recently. Lots of progress has been made in harnessing the same mechanism that powers our sun, but there's still a lot to be learned, so how does it work? Nuclear fusion is a type of nuclear reaction, and like chemical reactions, nuclear reactions can be endothermic or exothermic.
If we can recreate the sun, that'll be good. Unlimited energy, but at the same time, it can have our cons. Might be the end.
Y'all hood, man?
Popeyes.
Huh?
Popeyes.
Y'all ain't got no church?
Dude, look at that shit.
I don't know what the fuck that is, man. I see what it is, Kim.
What is it?
It looks like they close up.
Did you guys hear what's going on in Milwaukee and all these cops and black men? Y'all gotta watch this story.
He pulled out my pants, touched my testicles. They like eased down and they put their hands right between my butt. Just pulled my drawers down and dug in my rectum.
The alleged victims keep coming forward. 8 Milwaukee police officers are under internal investigation, accused of performing illegal strip searches, including cavity searches on the streets. Were they wearing any gloves?
No, I didn't see not one. There was no gloves.
Chevin Freeman Jr. claims back in December he and some friends were violated during a traffic stop.
When when they searched me, they like eased down and they put their hands right between my butt. Then I try to reach back and when I try to reach back and try to stop them, they just got to slamming me on the ground.
Only how we gonna make it stop is if we come together and stick together and talk about the problems.
Devontae Garcia speaking now. What he claims the 8 officers under investigation from District 5 did to him should leave them with a record.
They do it all the time. It don't matter where we at, you know what I'm saying? They just treat us like we animals.
The 18-year-old claims he too has been the victim of those illegal strip searches the officers are accused of performing.
I felt my boxers go down and I don't even like talking about the situation.
Yeah. But what happened? Imagine
they dug in my rectum with their hands. I don't think they had no gloves. I didn't see them put no gloves on. They didn't even have time to go in their trunk and do none of that.
Honestly, it's like being raped if you ask me.
His mother, Bobby Barbosa, believes what the officers are accused of doing reflects to the disconnect MPD has with some in the community.
I do think that race, our area, and where we come from does play a part in it.
She tells me she originally contacted police after her 2 sons were allegedly victimized.
I've contacted the department today.
Totally naked and handcuffed.
Joseph Mays says he was raped by accused ringleader Michael Vagnini. Vagnini faces 25 counts for illegal strip searches, misconduct, and sexual assault. Officers Jacob Knight, Jeffrey Dolhoff, and Brian Kozalik also face charges.
After that, I got one officer right here. He's resisting. He get helping me. I got slob coming all down and got slob coming all down. It's all right here. Got the gun to my head.
In the criminal complaint, the victim is quoted as saying 2 other officers were hanging onto the victim's arms and one had a gun pressed against the victim's head. The man says he was also rectally searched by Officer Vagnini. From the criminal complaint, quote, Vagnini then put his bare hand inside the victim's pants and underwear.
When I got the cuffs on, he pat me down, but he just rushed his hand up my butt.
And he says no medical treatment was given for rectal bleeding while he spent several days in jail.
With no medical attention. That's why as soon as I got out, I went straight to the emergency room.
His friend was with him that night, and his story is also told in the criminal complaint. Quote, Vagnini put bare hands inside pants and underwear. He turned to see Vagnini put his bare hands inside his friend's pants.
When the officer did the rectal search on you, did he have a glove on?
No. He did not have a glove on.
And he took the same hand and searched
my friend.
Your friend?
Yeah.
Without a glove on?
Without a glove. Every time they'll see me, pull me over, pull my pants down.
Anthony Pettis claims it happened to him dozens of times. MPD officers from District 5 performed illegal strip searches while they looked for drugs.
I just wanted to end. You saying right?
Pettis believes there are other victims and is asking them to come forward.
I know it's a lot of other people out there who need help, who's seeking help. It's time to come up.
My illegal searches happened at least 3 times.
This 22-year-old woman says a police officer strip searched her.
She would proceed to put her hands in my pants.
Just didn't come to the table because I didn't think that was going to go through when nobody going to believe me.
That's how Christian McGinnis felt prior to 8 Milwaukee police officers from District 5 getting stripped of their police powers, accused of doing illegal strip searches.
And I just wish they can get these guys off the streets.
The 24-year-old is the latest person to file an internal affairs complaint. McGinnis claims he too had an illegal cavity search done when he was stopped by officers near 9th and Headley back in December 2009.
He got a plastic rubber glove and he went in my anus. I feel assaulted and I feel I couldn't defend myself like I wanted to by him being an officer when he went up my butt. He had the probable cause to do that, so he wasn't supposed to do that. It's illegal search. It don't matter where he found the drugs. Really embarrassing to me. Very embarrassing.
It's degrading, it's demeaning, and especially when you haven't done anything wrong. They didn't do the anal thing, they just, did the front.
This sounds very familiar. This sounds like something they were doing to us in the 1800s known as buck breaking. And Milwaukee police, isn't that the same police department that let Jeffrey Dahmer go? 2 Milwaukee police officers fired for leaving boy with Yep, that is the same police department that let Jeffrey Dahmer go. So why are we surprised when we see over 100 victims, all black, mostly men, molested, raped by Milwaukee Police Department? And this was in 2012. Why is it now coming out? Why is it now coming out? Where was this in 2012? 2012, excuse me. Now, do you see the look on the brother's face? He's got his arm crossed. He is very guarded. He don't even want to speak about this. And they are attacking them on the road every single day. This is not even in prison. Imagine what's going on in prison behind bars. These are young men that are getting attacked every single day on the streets of Milwaukee by police officers. Because the fact of the matter is, there's only a few men that came forward. How much more do you think are still hiding with this information? How much more are too prideful of the fact that this thing took place, that they are afraid to come out with this type of information? This is wrong on every level, and people need to know about this. Now, this video is made to bring awareness to situation. It's for educational and entertainment purposes only. I am only making people aware of situations that are going on around the world. But please share this video. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below, and follow me for more, y'all.